Oh god. Not again. Hi. So Doki Doki, in case you guys weren't caught up on it, got a add-on. Well, actually, it's like a $15 add-on. And yeah. So you know what this means. I'm gonna go play this again and find all the nice new content that exists for this game. I don't know how to activate it. I'm not sure where it starts, where it goes, and all that stuff. So we're gonna have to just go in absolutely blind again. Though I can't say it's fully blind because I still kind of remember the last time I played this, and I don't know how to. I don't know, guys. I'm a little worried. Anyway, I think it's enough wasting our time. Let's go ahead and dive into this. Let's just use my normal name here. Oh, I can't use numbers. Well, I guess I'm just Hawk. There, we're just Hawk. Because I can't use my numbers. I'm upset. I'm scared, guys. Hey! I see an annoying girl running toward me from the distance, waving her arms in the air like she's totally oblivious to any attention she might draw to herself. The game is a little loud. There we go. That girl is Sayori, my neighbor and good friend since we were children. You know, the kind of friend you'd never see yourself making today, but it's just kind of works out because you've known each other for so long. We used to walk to school together on days like this, but starting around high school, she would oversleep more and more frequently, and I would get tired of waiting up. But if she's going to chase after me like this, I almost feel better off running away. However, I just sigh and idle in front of the crosswalk and let Sayori catch up to me. So the sprites also got a little bit updated, and you can, wow, actually I can really definitely see how they've updated the sprites. Oh my. God, she looks different. That's a good thing though. She actually looks way more polished than she used to, which is, dang. I actually am kind of curious. Actually, now that I look at it, everything, there's more detail in the background even. Like, this was a lot more blurry. Ugh. Alright. Well, I guess I'm interested in that part, but still, I'm worried. I overslept again. But I caught you this time. Maybe, but only because I decided to stop and wait for you. You said it like you were thinking about ignoring me. Oh my god, that pouting face. That's mean. Well, people stare at you for acting weird, then I don't want them to think we're a couple or something. Fine, fine. But you did wait for me after all. I guess you don't have it in you to be mean even if you wanted to. Whatever you say, Sayori. God dang it. We cross the street together and make our way to school. As we draw near, the streets become increasingly speckled with our students making their daily commute. By the way, have you decided on a club to join yet? A club? I told you already, I'm not really interested in joining any clubs. I haven't been looking either. That's not true. You told me you were going to join a club this year. Did I? I'm sure it's possible that I did. In one of my many conversations where I dismissively go along with whatever she's going on about. Sori likes to worry a little too much about me, when I'm perfectly content just getting by on the average. On the average? Okay, whatever. While spending my free time on games and anime. Uh-huh. I was talking about how I'm worried that you won't learn how to socialize or have any skills before college. Your happiness is really important to me, you know? And I know you're happy now, but I died at the thought of you becoming a NEET in a few years just because you're not used to the real world. You trust me, right? Don't make me keep worrying about you. Alright, alright. I'll look at a few clubs if it makes you happy. No promises, though. Will you at least promise me you'll try a little? Yeah. I guess I'll promise you that. Yay! Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Why do I let myself get lectured by such a carefree girl? More than that, I'm surprised I even let myself relent to her. I guess seeing her worry so much about me makes me want to ease her mind at least a little bit, even if she does exaggerate everything inside of her own head. The school day is as ordinary as ever, and it's over before I know it. After I pack up my things, I stare blankly at the wall, looking for an ounce of motivation. Clubs. Sayori wants me to check out some clubs. I guess I have no choice but to start with the anime club. Hello? Sayori? So I must have come into the classroom while I was spacing out. I look around and realize that I'm the only one left in the classroom. I thought I'd catch you coming out of the classroom, but I saw you just sitting here and spacing out, so I came in. Honestly, you're even worse than me sometimes. I'm impressed. You don't need to wait up for me. It's going to make you late to your own club. Well, I thought you might need some encouragement, so I thought, you know, God, why are you adorable? I'm still traumatized from the last time I played this game, as much as I want to like Sayori as much as I do. I really want to figure out how the side stories thing works, because apparently that's a thing. I just don't know how it's done. No, what? Well, that you could come to my club. Sayori. Yeah? There's no way I'm going to your club. Me. Oh, guys, I can't. Sayori is vice president of the literature club. I can't read. Not that I was... I should go to the literature club, because I can't read. Not that I was ever aware that she had any interest in literature. In fact, I'm 99% sure she only did it because she thought it would be fun to help start a new club. Since she was the first one to show interest after the one who proposed the club, she inherited the title Vice President. That said, my interest in literature is guaranteed to be even less. Yeah, I'm going to the anime club. Mom, please? Why do you care so much anyway? Well... I was kind of told the club yesterday... I would bring in a new member. And Natsuki made cupcakes and everything. You set yourself up for that one. Don't make promises you can't keep. I can't tell if Sayori is really that much of an airhead, or if she's so cunning as to have planned all this out. I let out a long sigh. Fine. I'll stop by for a cupcake, okay? Yes, let's go. And thus, today marks the day I sold my soul for a cupcake. I think you sold more than that, but we're not gonna go there. For those of you who have never played it. Oh, you're in for one. You are in for one. I dejectedly follow Sayori across the school and upstairs, a section of the school I rarely visit. Sayori, full of energy, swings open the classroom door. Everyone, the new member is here. I told you, don't call me a new member. Eh? I glance around the room. Welcome to the literature club. It's a pleasure to meet you. Pleasure meeting you. Sayori always says nice things about you. Seriously? You brought a boy? Way to kill the atmosphere. Huck, what a nice surprise. Welcome to the club. All words escape me in this situation. This club is full of incredibly cute girls. What are you looking at? If you want to say something, say it. Sorry. Natsuki. The girl with the sour attitude, whose name is apparently Natsuki, is the one I don't recognize. Her small figure makes her look like a first-year student. She's also one who made the cupcakes, according to Sayori. You can just ignore her when she gets moody. Sayori says that quietly into my ear, then turns back towards the other girls. Anyway, this is Natsuki, always full of energy. This is Yuri, the smartest in the club. Don't say things like that. Yuri, who appears comparably more mature and timid, seems to have a hard time keeping up with people like Sayori and Natsuki. Ah, well, it's nice to meet both of you. It sounds like you already know Monika, is that right? That's right. It's great to see you again. Monika smiles sweetly. Guys, for those of you who know, that line hits differently. We do know each other. Well, we rarely taught, but we were in the same class last year. Monika was probably the most popular girl in the class. Smart, beautiful, athletic. Basically completely out of my league. So having her smile at me so genuinely feels a little... You too, Monika. Come sit down. We made a room for you at the table, so you can sit next to me or Monika. I'll get the cupcakes. Hey, I made them, I'll get them. Sorry, I got a little too excited. Then how about I make some tea as well? The girls have a few desks arranged to form a table. As Sayori mentioned, it's been widened so that there is one space next to Monika and one space next to Sayori. Natsuki and Yuri walk over to the corner of the room, where Natsuki grabs the wrap tray and Yuri opens the closet. Still feeling awkward, I take a seat next to Sayori. Natsuki proudly marches back to the table, tray in hand. Okay, are you ready? Ta-da! Oh. Natsuki lifts the foil off the tray, revealing a dozen white, fluffy cupcakes decorated to look like little cats. The whiskers are drawn with icing, and little pieces of chocolate were used to make ears. So cute! I had no idea you were so good at baking, Natsuki. Well, you know. What is it with you guys and setting yourselves up for a Paimon joke? I mean, Paimon didn't exist back then, but still. Just hurry up and take one. Sayori grabs one first, then Monika. I follow. It's delicious. Sayori talks with her mouth full and has already managed to get icing on her face. Why am I not surprised? I turn the cupcake around in my fingers, looking for the best angle to take a bite. Natsuki is quiet. I can't help but notice her sneaking glances in my direction. Is she waiting for me to take a bite? I finally bite down. The icing is sweet and full of flavor. I wonder if she made it herself. This is really good. Thank you, Natsuki. Why are you thanking me? It's not like Haven't I heard this before somewhere? Made them for you or anything. Yes, I'll take one helping of soon and one helping of today, please. Yeah? I thought you technically did. Sayori said... Well, maybe. But not for you, you know, you, dummy. Alright, alright. I give up on Natsuki's weird logic and dismiss the conversation. Yuri returns to the table, carrying a tea set. She carefully places a teacup in front of each of us before sitting down the teapot next to the cupcake tray. Keep a whole tea set in this classroom? Don't worry, the teachers gave us permission. After all, doesn't a hot cup of tea help you enjoy a good book? I guess. Don't let yourself get intimidated. Yuri's just trying to impress you. That's not... Insulted, Yuri looks away. I meant that, you know. I believe you. Well, tea and reading might be a pastime for me, but I at least enjoy tea. I'm glad. Yuri faintly smiles to herself in relief. Monika raises an eyebrow, then smiles at me. So what made you consider the literature club? I was afraid of this question. Something tells me I shouldn't tell Monica that I was practically dragged here by Sayori. Well, I haven't joined any clubs yet, and Sayori seemed really happy here, so... That's okay, don't be embarrassed. We'll make sure you feel right at home, okay? As president of the Literature Club, it's my duty to make the club fun and exciting for everyone. Monica, I'm surprised. How come you decided to start your own club? You could probably be a board member for any of the other major clubs. Weren't you the leader of the debate club last year? Well, you know. To be honest, I can't stand all the politics around the major clubs. It feels like nothing but arguing about the budget and publicity, and how to prepare for events. I'd much rather take something I'd personally enjoy and make something special out of it. And if it encourages others to get into literature, then I'm fulfilling that dream. Monica really is a great leader. Yuri also nods in agreement. And I'm surprised there aren't more people in the club yet. Yeah. I mean, if it's a new club, I guess it's a different thing. It must be hard to start a new club. You could put it that way. Not many people are interested in putting out all the effort to start something brand new. Especially when it's something that doesn't grab your attention, like literature. Okay. I will say this, though, not all related to literature. So when I was in college, me and a couple of people tried to start a comedy club. The first year went really well. We had about, I think, 20-ish members. This is a small college I went to. We had about 20-ish members spread out across the 4 years. But the second year, it did not do very well. So I definitely understand how difficult it can be to start a club. I think we had maybe 4 or 5 members the second year. I don't know what happened. It was just really rough. Which was unfortunate, but not much I could have done about it. You have to work hard to convince people that you're both fun and worthwhile. But it makes school events, like the festival, that much more important. I'm confident that we can all really grow this club before we graduate. Right, everyone? Yeah. We'll do our best. You know it. Everyone enthusiastically agrees. Such different girls, all interested in the same goal. Monica must have really worked hard just to find these 3. Maybe that's why they were all so delighted by the idea of a new member joining. Though I still don't really know if I can keep up with their level of enthusiasm about literature. Sock, what kind of things do you like to read? Well, okay, this is probably where game me and real me are not going to at all agree. Considering how little I've read these past few years, I don't really have a good way of answering that. Also not true. Manga. Okay, that's true. Looks over at my bookshelf full of manga. I mutter quietly to myself, half joking. Nutsuki's head suddenly perks up. It looks like she wants to say something, but she keeps quiet. Not much of a reader, I guess. Well, actually, I like fantasy and sci-fi for those that are actually curious. Well, that can change. What am I saying? I spoke without thinking after seeing Yuri's sad smile. Anyway, what about you, Yuri? Let's see. Yuri chases the rim of her teacup with her finger. My favorites are usually novels that build deep and complex fantasy worlds. The level of creativity and craftsmanship behind them is amazing. And telling a good story in such a foreign world is equally impressive. Yuri goes on, clearly passionate about her reading. She seems so reserved and timid since the moment I walked in, but it's obvious by the way her eyes light up that she finds her comfort in the world of books, just not people. But you know, I like a lot of things. Stories with deep psychological elements usually immerse me as well. Isn't it amazing how a writer can so deliberately take advantage of your own lack of imagination to completely throw you for a loop? Anyway, I've been reading a lot of horror lately. I've read a horror book once. I desperately grasped something I can relate to at that minimum level. At this rate, Yuri might as well be having a conversation with a rock. Oof. Man, that's unfortunate, game me. Really? I wouldn't have expected that, Yuri. For someone as gentle as you. I guess you could say that. But if the story makes me think or takes me to another world, then I can't really put it down. That was kind of me with, was it Eragon? There was like a series of 4 books. They were decently, like, they were decent-sized books. They weren't just like simple, like, small little short books that are like the size of a manga book. It was like Eragon. I forgot what the whole. It was like 4. I think there's 4 books in total. It was a story about like dragons and dragon riders. I don't know how many people are gonna even know that book series, but I read that as a kid, and it was the same scenario I was in here. Surreal horror. Okay, not the horror part, but you know what I mean. Surreal horror is often very successful at changing the way you look at the world, if only for a brief moment. Ugh, I hate horror. Oh, why's that? Well, Natsuki's eyes dart over to me for a split second. Never mind. That's right. You usually write about cute things, don't you, Natsuki? What? What gives you that idea? You left a piece of scrap paper behind last club meeting. It looked like you were working on a poem called Don't Say It Out Loud. Give that back. That's a very interesting title. Fine, fine. Your cupcakes, your poems, everything you do is just as cute as you are. Sorry, Siddles? I've never seen this word before. I don't know. I'm just like trying to figure out what this word means. Natsuki and puts her hands on her shoulders. Not cute! Can we just stay like this, please? I don't wanna progress the story anymore. Natsuki, you write your own poems? Well, I guess sometimes. Why do you care? I think that's impressive. Why don't you share them sometime? No. Natsuki averts her eyes. You wouldn't like them. Not a confident writer yet? I understand how Natsuki feels. Sharing that level of writing takes more than just confidence. The truest form of writing is writing to oneself. You must be willing to open up to your readers, exposing your vulnerabilities, and showing even the deepest reaches of your heart. Do you have writing experience too, Yuri? Maybe if you share some of your work, you can set an example and help Natsuki feel comfortable enough to share hers. I guess it's the same for Yuri. Well, I wanted to read everyone's poems. We all sit in silence for a moment. Okay. I have an idea, everyone. Natsuki and Yuri look quizzically at Monica. Let's all go home and write a poem of our own. Then, next time we meet, we'll all share them with each other. That way everyone is even. Yeah, let's do it. Sayori is so excited. Plus, now that we have a new member, I think it'll help us all get a little more comfortable with each other and strengthen the bond of the club. Isn't that right? Monica smiles warmly at me once again. Hold on. There's still one problem. What's that? Now back to the original topic of me joining the club. I bluntly come forth with what's been on my mind the entire time. I never said I would join this club. Sorry may have convinced me to stop by, but I never made any decision. I still have the clubs to look at, and, I lose my train of thought. So, we have quite the wide variety of emotions here. Sayori's just sad. Yuri seems... I don't know what face this is trying to be. Is she just like, oh. Monica's upset. Natsuki's just angry. All 4 girls stare back at me with dejected eyes. Really? Don't think Yuri really is... She just seems... I don't know. Yuri doesn't seem so. But... I'm sorry, I thought... You all... I'm defenseless against these girls. How am I supposed to make a clear-headed decision when it's like this? That is, if writing poems is the price I need to pay in order to spend every day with these beautiful girls... Right. Okay. I've decided then. I'll join the literature club. One by one, the girl's eyes light up. Sayori, of course, being happiest of all. Yes, I'm still happy. Sayori wraps her arms around me, jumping up and down. Hey. You really did scare me for a moment. If you really just came for the cupcakes, I'd be super pissed. Then that makes it official. Welcome to the Welcome to the literature club. Thanks. I guess. Okay, everyone. I think with that, we can officially end today's meeting on a good note. Everyone remember tonight's assignment. Write a poem to bring to the next meeting so we can all share. Monica looks over at me once more. Okay, I look forward to seeing how you express yourself. Yeah. Can I really impress the class star Monica with my mediocre writing skills? I already feel the anxiety welling up inside me. Meanwhile, the girls continue to chit-chat as Yuri and Natsuki clean up their food. Since we're already here, do you want to walk home together? That's right. Sayori and I never walked home together anymore because she always has to stay after school for clubs. Sure, might as well. Yay! With that, the two of us depart the club room and make our way home. The whole way, my mind wanders back and forth between the four girls. Sayori, Natsuki, Yuri, and of course, Monica. Will I really be happy spending every day after school in a literature club? Perhaps I'll have the chance to grow closer to one of these girls. Alright. I'll just need to make the most of my circumstances, and I'm sure good fortune will find me. And I guess that starts with writing a poem tonight. God. It's time to write a poem. Pick words you think your favorite club member will like. Something good might happen with whoever likes your poem the most. I don't actually remember what the key words were, but I do remember in the base game, if you chose a specific set of what is it? Of words, you know, each of the characters would react differently. So I believe if it still works the way it is, so if I'm assuming the way it is, if I click sugar, well, it might be Natsuki actually that jumps on this one. So you'll know what the point goes to when you see the little chibi jump. So that was a point for Natsuki. I'm gonna go with Bouncy, which I believe is gonna be Sayori. No, it's Natsuki again. Well, I have no idea what the... is this gonna be how you choose the character arcs? Summer. 3 for Natsuki, okay. Smile. There we go, Sayori got one. Giggle. Ah, jeez. So I'm 4 for Natsuki, 1 for Sayori. Yuri, I'm sorry. Dream? Oh, it's Yuri, okay. Charm. Sayori, okay. Poof. Natsuki's poof, okay. Happiness. No, Sayori. Misfortune, I don't want to know who that is. What, Melody? Doki Poetry Slam. Hold on, what is this achievement? Spend enough time during a poem game for the music to loop. Really? Oh, okay. Alrighty then. Thanks. Melody. Dance. Adventure? Marriage. Ooh, that's a strong one. I feel like that's a Yuri thing. That'd be Yuri. Okay, that's a strong one. Marriage is strong, but death is way, way more. Fireworks. Okay. Who's Doki Doki? Really? Natsuki? Okay. Daydream. Okay, looks very one-sided between poor Yuri. Vertigo. I'll try love. Oh, I thought that was gonna be. I was gonna think that she's all the intense ones. I guess love is not one of the intense ones for her. What's vivid? Oh, vivid's for her. Okay. Vivacious. Okay. Alone, insight, variance, pleasure, and electricity. Color. Sayori. Okay. I'm either between Natsuki or Sayori. We'll find that out today. Hi again. Glad to see you didn't run away on us. Don't worry. This might be a little strange for me, but I at least keep my word. Well, I'm back at the literature club. I was the last to come in, so everyone else is already hanging out. Thanks for keeping your promise. I hope this isn't too overwhelming of a commitment for you. Making you dive headfirst into literature when you're not accustomed to it. Oh, come on. Like he deserves any slack. Sayori told me you didn't even want to join any clubs this year. And last year, too. I don't know if you just plan to come here and hang out or what. But if you don't take us seriously, then you won't see the end of it. Natsuki, you certainly have a big mouth for someone who keeps her manga collection in the club room. I forgot how much of a roast that one was. Oh. I forgot how much of a roast that was. Oh my god. Natsuki finds herself stuck between saying Monica and manga. Manga is literally... God, that face. Also, the slightly redone... What? Oh, that's a lovely. Anyway, what was I saying? Character redesigns aren't too bad, actually. They are a lot more sharp, which is definitely good. Overall, it doesn't look too different, thankfully. Swiftly defeated, Natsuki plops back into her seat. Don't worry, guys. Hawk always gives it his best as long as he's having fun. He helps me with busy work without me even asking. Like cooking and cleaning my room. How dependable. Sayori, that's because your room is so messy it's distracting. And you almost set your house on fire once. Is that so? Two are really good friends, aren't you? I might be a little jealous. How come? You and Hawk can become good friends too. Sayori! Hmm? Whoosh! As usual, Sayori seems oblivious to the weird situation she just put me into. Oh, Yuri even brought you something today, you know? Wait, Sayori! Me? Not really. Don't be shy. It's really nothing. What is it? Never mind. Sayori made it sound like a big deal when it's really not. That face, though. What do I do? I'm sorry, Yuri, I wasn't thinking. Guess that means it's up to me to rescue this situation. Hey, don't worry about it. First of all, I wasn't expecting anything in the first place. So, any nice gesture from you is a pleasant surprise. It'll make me happy no matter what. Is that so? Yeah. I won't make a big deal. I won't make it a big deal if you don't want it to be. Alright. Well, here. Yuri reaches into her bag and pulls out a book. I didn't want you to feel left out. So I picked out a book that I thought you might enjoy. It's a short read, so it should keep your attention, even if you don't usually read. And we could, you know, discuss it if you wanted. This is... How is this girl accidentally being so cute? I don't know, chat. What do you think? Chat! Ah! Comments, what do you think? She even picked out a book she thinks I like, despite me not reading much. Yuri, thank you. I'll definitely read this. I enthusiastically take the book. You can read it at your own pace. I look forward to hearing what you think. Now that everyone's settled in, I expect Monica to kick off some scheduled activities for the club. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Sayori and Monica are having a cheery conversation in the corner. Yuri's face is already buried in a book. I can't help but notice her intense expression, like she was waiting for this chance. Meanwhile, Natsuki is rummaging around in the closet. Man, looks like no one wants to be bothered today. I slumped down into the nearest desk. Am I supposed to occupy myself with something literature-related by myself like this? I guess I could even read some of the book that Yuri gave me. But I'm feeling a little too tired to read. I could probably fall asleep right now. I close my eyes and end up listening in on Sayori's conversation with Monica. We're probably gonna seem really lame compared to all the other clubs, though. Well, we can't give up. The festival is our chance to show everyone what the literature club is about. The problem is that the idea of a literature club sounds too dense and intellectual. But it's not like that at all, you know? We just need a way of showing that to everyone. Something that speaks to their creative minds. That doesn't solve the problem, though. Eh? What do you mean? Even if we come up with the most fun thing ever, nobody will come in the first place if it's a literature event. So it's more important to figure out how to get people to show up in the first place, you know? That makes sense, actually. And after they come, we can do their thing to speak to their creative mind. What's this? Sayori is taking this really seriously. It's rare to hear her deliberating like this. And that's a good point. In that case, do you think food would do the trick? What kind? No, well, I guess we could... Cupcakes! Good thinking. Natsuki would love to do that. Would she, though? Ah, you're right. Natsuki makes the best cupcakes. That works out perfectly. That wasn't why you suggested it? Cupcakes speak to my creative tummy. Yeah, I agree with you, Monica. Cupcakes it is, then. I'm hungry. Anyway, we still need to work out the details of the event itself. I find myself smiling. In the end, Sayori is still her usual self. But therein lies the unexpected reason I admire her. Unlike me, who has trouble finding any motivation at all. Sayori can put her mind to things and make them come to life. I suppose that's why I end up letting her get on my case about things. I can't help but wonder what it would be like to see the world through her eyes. Up my eyes to find Sayori's face filling my vision. I nearly fell out of my chair. Sorry. Wait. Actually, I'm not sorry at all. It's your fault for sleeping like that. This isn't the napping club. Does our school have a napping club? You're staying up late again, aren't you? Now that you're in the club, you're gonna have less time for anime, you know. We'll need to get used to it. Don't say that so loud. I glanced over my shoulder to see if Monica overheard. It's true, though. Yeah. I know. You're always looking out for me, Sayori. It's what I do best. That's a problem. What about you? You look out for me better than you look out for yourself. You're still oversleeping every day, aren't you? Eh? Not every day. It's not very convincing. How many days this past week have you gotten up on time? It's a secret. I knew it. Come on. At least give me the benefit of the doubt. I can't even do that. Look, Sayori, it's written all over you. Eh? Sayori glances around at herself. How is it written all over me? You were clearly in a rush this morning. Look, your hair is sticking out all around here. I run my fingertips down the side of Sayori's hair, trying to straighten it out. Yeah, I'm not surprised she's blushing right now. Man, you really need a brush for this. Hair is just really hard to get right. I won't fall for that. It's more than just your hair. Look, your bow isn't straight either. And there's a toothpaste stain on your collar right here. I tried to wipe the stain off with my finger. But nobody would ever notice that. Of course they would. No one's gonna tell you about it because they don't want to embarrass you. Fortunately, I don't really care about... Well, I don't know if that's necessarily unfortunately, but okay then. Hey, you meanie. You don't even keep your blazer buttoned up. Seriously, Sayori. Why do you think you don't have a boyfriend? Oof! Okay, this is not what I would say, but okay. Eh? That's super mean! Sorry, but you'll thank me later. I start to button her blazer from the bottom. But just see how much better it looks, you'll change your mind. This is so funny. What is? Well... I was just thinking about how weird it is to have a friend who does these kinds of things. Eh? Don't say that! You make me feel weird about it, stupid. Is my character being tsundere towards Sayori? Is this... Do we have 2 tsunderes in this club? What? It's okay though. I'm happy we're like this. Aren't you? I guess. Hey, be careful. The button might come off. Why is this one so hard to close? I struggle to fully close the button near her chest. Right, I forgot about this part. Does this thing even fit you properly? It did when I bought it. If you ever buttoned it, you would have noticed sooner that it doesn't fit you anymore. What are you smiling about? Yep. Yep, they did, didn't they? Don't say that out loud! Anyway, you look much better now, so... why does this feel strange to see Sayori's blazer buttoned up like that? It's so stuffy. It's not worth it at all. Sayori hastily unbuttons her blazer once more. Phew. That's so much better. Sayori puts her arms out and twirls around. So if I keep it unbuttoned, then I won't get a boyfriend, right? What kind of logic... What kind of logic is that? And why are you saying it like it's a good thing? Because if I had a boyfriend, then he wouldn't even let you do things like this. And you take care of me better than anyone else would anyway. So that's why I'm keeping it unbuttoned. Stop saying all these embarrassing things. Eh? I didn't say anything embarrassing. Jeez. Well, anyway. I keep right-clicking. Just focus on trying to wake up a little earlier. Only if you focus on going to bed earlier. Fine, fine. It's a deal. I guess we really are better at taking care of each other than we are at taking care of ourselves. Yeah, I guess so, huh? So maybe you should come wake me up in the morning. You're doing it again, Sayori. But I was joking that time. It's impossible to tell with you sometimes. Okay, everyone. God, you can definitely tell these two are like the childhood friend trope. Eh? Monica suddenly calls out. Why don't we share the poems we wrote now? Yay! Monica can't wait to read yours. Yeah, same. I feel it's not enthusiastic, but Sayori still trots away to retrieve her poem. By the way, did you remember to write a poem last night? Yeah. My relaxation ends. I can't believe I agreed to do something so embarrassing. I couldn't really find much inspiration, since I've never really done this before. Well, now that everyone's ready, why don't you find someone to share with? Can't wait. Sayori and Monica enthusiastically pull out their poems. Sayori is on a wrinkled sheet of loose leaf torn from a spiral notebook. On the other hand, Monica wrote hers in a composition notebook. I can already see Monica's pristine handwriting from where I sit. Natsuki and Yori reluctantly comply as well, reaching into their bags. I do the same myself. Who's to show my poem to first? Oh boy. You know what? I'm gonna see if it was Natsuki or Sayori, because they're the two that were close. So I'm gonna say Sayori. Let's try first. I'm definitely most comfortable sharing it with Sayori first. She's my good friend, after all. Oh my goodness. This is so good. Eh? I love it. I had no idea you were such a good writer. Sayori. Must be seriously overreacting. I'm not a good writer at all. I honestly have no idea what I'm doing. Well, maybe that's why. Because I have no idea what I like either. Wait. Never mind. Jeez. I'm sure Yuri's opinion has to be more constructive than this. Maybe even Natsuki's. Are you sure you don't like it just because I wrote it? Eh? Well, I'm sure that's part of it. I think I understand you better than a lot of other people, you know? So when I read your poem, it's not just a poem. It's a hawk poem. And that's what makes it feel extra special. I can feel your feelings in it. Sayori hugs the sheet against her chest. You're so weird, Sayori. Really happy just that you wrote one. It just reminds me of how you're really part of a club now. A part of the club now. Not to mention the fact that I'm standing in front of you in the club room. Well, of course. I'm not really into it yet, but it doesn't mean I'll break my promise. See? Just like I said before, Hawk. Deep down, you're not selfish at all, you know? Try new things like this for other people. That's something that only really good people do. Thanks, Sayori. I'm not sure if Sayori sees the full picture of my motive here. Then again, I can't deny that she's part of the reason I joined. Knowing how much this means to her and all. Yeah. I'm gonna make sure you have lots of fun here, okay? That will be my way of thanking you. Alright, I'm gonna hold you to that then. Yay. Now, you'll read my poem too, right? Don't worry. I'm really bad at this. We'll see about that. I remember these poems now. Dear sunshine, the way you glow through my blinds in the morning makes me feel like you missed me, kissing my forehead to help me out of bed, making me rub the sleepy from my eyes. Are you asking me to come out and play? Are you trusting me to wish away a rainy day? I can't read today, I'm sorry guys. I look above, the sky is blue. It's a secret, but I trust you too. If it wasn't for you, I could sleep forever. But I'm not mad. I want breakfast. She did so well and was actually maintaining a pretty decent thought as she went through this whole thing. And then all of a sudden, I'm not mad, I want breakfast. She went from, I'm writing a poem, I'm hungry. That's Sayori in a nutshell. Sayori. It's just a guess, but did you wait until this morning to write this? No, just a little bit. You can't answer just a little bit to a yes or no question. I forgot to do it last night. Well, at least that makes me feel a little better about myself. Don't be mean. I still tried my best. Nah, yeah. I didn't even say it was a bad poem. It came out nice, or how should I put it? It sounds just like you. Really? Yeah. Especially that last line. I made eggs and toast. Even though you were late to school? It's bad to skip breakfast. I get all cranky. Well, I guess there's no point in arguing. Anyway, Thanks for showing me. This is so much fun. Monika's the best. Yeah. But next time, I won't forget. I'm gonna write the best poem ever. Well, I guess I look forward to it. Alright, let's see how Natsuki handles it. Well, it's about what I expected from someone like you. That's a little blunt. Well, excuse me. It's not like I said it was bad. It's just it didn't evoke any emotions. So basically it's not cute enough for your tastes? Do you want to get smacked? I'll pass. Well, anyway, I guess I need to show you mine. They really actually made, like, all the characters way more expressive. Like, yeah, they had these emotions and these gestures in the base game, but the way that they're drawn and everything looks way better. Like, there's way more expressions and stuff on it. Or way more, it shows more. I'll put it that way. The expression shows a lot more. Not that you'll like it. Eagles can fly, monkeys can climb, crickets can leap, horses can race, owls can seek, cheese can run, eagles can fly, people can try, but that's about it. Simple. Yeah. I told you that you weren't gonna like it. I like it. What? Just be honest. I am. Why are you so convinced that I wouldn't like it? Well, because everyone in high school thinks that writing has to be all sophisticated and stuff, so people don't even take my writing seriously. But isn't the point of poems for people to express themselves? Your writing style wouldn't make your message any less valid. Yes, exactly. I like it when it's easy to read, but it hits you hard. Like in this poem. Seeing everyone around you do great things can be really disheartening. So I decided to write about it. Ah, yeah, I understand. But the other nice thing about simple writing is that it puts more weight onto the wordplay. Like I set up for a rhyme at the end, but then I made it fall flat on purpose. It helps bring out the feeling in the last line. So you did. I guess I more went into it than I realized. That's what it means to be a pro! Glad you learned something. Didn't expect that from the youngest one here, did ya? Yeah, I guess not. I said to humor her with that last comment. I don't really care how old anyone is. But if Natsuki is feeling proud, then I won't take that away from her. Who should I show my poem to next? We'll see how Yuri handles it. Yuri stares at the poem. A minute passes. More than enough time for her to finish reading. Oh, sorry. I forgot to start speaking. What? It's fine. Don't force yourself. I'm not. I just need to put my thoughts into words. Hold on. Okay. This is your first time writing a poem, right? Yeah. Why do you ask? Just making sure. I guess that it might be after reading you through it. Ah, so it's that bad. No! Did I just raise my voice? I'm sorry. Yuri buries her face into her hands. I couldn't help but notice that it's been several minutes and we really haven't gotten anywhere. Might take Yuri a while to get used to new people. It's fine, I really didn't notice. What were you saying? Right, it's just that there are specific writing habits that are usually typical of new writers. And having been through that myself, I kind of learned to pick up on them. I think the most noticeable thing I recognize in new writers is that they try to make their style very deliberate. In other words, they tend to pick a writing style separate from the topic matter, and then they form-fit the two together. The end result is both the style and expressiveness are weakened. Once Yuri finds her train of thought, it's as if her demeanor totally changes. Her stammering is completely gone. She sounds like an expert. Of course, that's not something you can be blamed for. There's so many different skills and techniques that go into writing even a simple poem. Not just finding themselves and building them, but getting them to work together is probably the most challenging part. It might take you some time, but it all comes with practice. are learning by example and trying new things. I also hope that everyone else in the club gives you valuable feedback. Natsuki can be a bit biased, though. Well, okay, you both can be. Biased? How? Well, never mind. I shouldn't be talking about people like that. Sorry. It's fine. I'm not sure if Yuri's apologizing to herself, to me, or Natsuki. Do you mind if I read your poem now? Please do. I'd love to share my thought process behind it. Yuri smiles dreamily, as if that's a rare opportunity for her, which itself is kind of funny. After all, isn't this supposed to be a literature club? Ah, yes. Ghost under the light, the tendrils of my hair illuminate beneath the amber glow. Bathing. Must be this one. The last remaining street light to have withstood the test of time. The last yet to be replaced by the sickening blue-green hue of the future. I bathe. Calm. Breathing air of the present but living in the past. The light flickers. I flicker back. I'm sorry I have such terrible handwriting. No, it's way better. Like, I can definitely read it compared to a lot of other people's handwriting I've had in the past. What? I wasn't thinking about that at all. But you took a long time to read it. Ah. Well, I just don't read script very often. I actually think your handwriting is pretty. Eh? That's a relief. Also, I liked the poem. Even though it was short, it was really descriptive. It wasn't too short? I usually write longer poems. Not at all. I'm really glad you liked it. I'll be honest. Since it's our first time sharing, I wanted to write something a bit more mild. Something easy to digest, I suppose. But you went to ghosts, Yuri. Actually, the story isn't about a ghost at all. Really? Must have totally missed the point. Well, I suppose you did only glance over it after all. But remember that poets often express their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences in their work. They usually do more than simply tell a story or paint a picture. In this case, perhaps the subject of the poem is being symbolically compared to a ghost, lingering in her last remaining place of comfort, unable to let go of the past, and soon to be left with nothing. It's a lot more solemn, putting it that way. I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah, I guess I never really looked into these poems that much. That's impressive. It's nothing, really. Well, it makes me happy that you think that. Just remember that it won't be long before you pick up on those things too. Yeah, maybe you're right. I guess I'll have to keep trying. I'm counting on you. Who says my poem to next? Well, it's just Monica. Good job, me. Hey, having a good time so far? Yeah. Good, glad to hear it. By the way, since you're new and everything, if you ever have any suggestions for the club, like new activities or things we can do better, I'm always listening. Don't be afraid to bring things up, okay? Alright, I'll keep that in mind. Of course, I'll be afraid to bring things up. I'm much better off just going with the flow until I'm more settled in. Anyway, wanna share your poem with me? It's kind of embarrassing, but I guess I have to. Don't worry. We're all a little embarrassed today, you know? But it's that sort of barrier that we'll all learn to get past soon. Yeah, that's true. I hand Monica my poem. I like this one. Makes me think of something Sayori would write. Is that so? You and Sayori are real good friends, right? I wouldn't be surprised if you had that sort of thing in common. Ah, well... we'd be good friends, but Sayori and I are actually really different. Well, that may be the case. But maybe there are some similarities that you wouldn't expect. The way she talks about you. Sounds like you two really care about each other's well-being. Even if you show it in different ways, it ends up being more similar than you think. So I think that's the kind of vibe I get when reading this poem. Sure you're not reading into it too much? It could be. Oh gosh, I sound like Yuri. In any case, Sayori's writing has a kind of gentle feel to it. I can tell that she likes exploring with emotions like happiness and sadness. Who knew that someone so happy could enjoy sad things too? Yeah, it's totally unexpected. Well, to each their own. And you shouldn't be afraid to experiment a little bit either. I'm sure I'll end up trying different things a lot. It could take a while before I feel comfortable doing this. That's okay. I'll just see you try new things. That's the best way to find the kind of style that suits you. Everyone else might be a bit biased towards their own kinds of styles, but I'll always help you find what suits you the most. So don't force yourself to write the way everyone else wants you to write. It's not like you have to worry about impressing them or anything. Anyway, do you want to read my poem now? Don't worry, I'm not very good. You sound pretty confident for someone who claims to be not very good. Well, that's because I have to sound confident. Doesn't mean I always feel that way, you know? I see. Well, let's read it then. Oh, okay. Hole in the wall. It couldn't have been me. See the direction the spackle protrudes? A noisy neighbor? An angry boyfriend? I'll never know. I wasn't home. I peer inside for a clue. No, I can't see. I reel, blind, like a film left out in the sun. But it's too late. My retinas. Already scorched, with a permanent copy of a meaningless image. It's just a little hole. It wasn't too bright. It was too deep. Stretching forever into everything. A hole of infinite choices. I realize now that I wasn't looking in. I was looking out. And he, on the other side, was looking in. So, what do you think? It's very freeform, that's what you call it. Sorry, I'm not really the right person to ask for feedback. It's okay. Yeah, that kind of style has gotten pretty popular nowadays. That is, a lot of poems have been putting emphasis on the timing between words and lines. When performed out loud, it can be really powerful. What was the inspiration behind this one? I'm not sure if I know how to put it. I guess you could say I had some kind of epiphany recently. It's been influencing my poems a bit. An epiphany? Yeah, something like that. I'm kind of nervous to talk about deep stuff like that, because it's kind of coming on strongly. Maybe after everyone is better friends with each other. Anyway, here's Monica's writing tip of the day. Sometimes when you're writing a poem or a story, your brain gets too fixated on a specific point. If you try so hard to make it perfect, you'll never make any progress. Just force yourself to get something down on the paper, and tidy it up later. Another way to think about it is this. If you keep your pen in the same spot for too long, you'll just get a big dark puddle of ink. So move your hand and go with the flow. That's my advice for today. Thanks for listening. I still find that so weird. Okay. So that's going to be it for this particular episode. I don't know how to activate the special stuff, but at the same time I will also say that, yeah, I know I'm doing a replay of this. The game, from what I remember, each experience is very different. So we'll see how this goes. Because it's gonna be something. It's gonna be something. So, anyway, this is also gonna be one of the videos that just takes up in between the Australian series as well. So, I don't think this is gonna be a very long-lasting one. I think this game was relatively short, unless they've changed it. I don't know how much it changed with this like bonus content it did. We'll see. So, anyway, that's gonna be all for now. Hope you guys did enjoy this particular thing, and I'll see you guys in the next live stream or video that I do. Until then, I'll catch you guys all again real soon.